but sometimes there can be mishaps even at home. Mr. Prasad Shankar is here to show us on how to make our home safe for everyone. Mr. Prasad is a highly talented multilingual training professional with over 8 years of experience conducting programs in various sectors like IT, BPO, banking, educational institutions, hospitals, manufacturing industries, etc. In advanced fire safety and basic life support, self-contained breathing apparatus, and lots more. He holds a PG diploma in Fire and Safety Management through National Institute of Fire and Safety Engineering, Nagpur, and also has undergone fire prevention, firefighting training at Munkur Academy, Munkur, Karnataka Fire and Emergency Services. He has also undergone first aid training at St. John's Ambulance Association, Bangalore, and is a certified for first aid and CPR from American Heart Association. Now, before we begin, a couple of house rules, please. Please put your cameras off. We will keep only the demo camera on. I would request you can adjust your screen by clicking on view active cameras. If you see the tab on top, you will find a section there which gives you option of view option, everyone who's talking active cameras. Please click on it and pull the tab midway so that you can see both the presentation and the demo clearly. If you have any queries, please use the chat window so that we can take up the queries at the end of this session. Thank you. On to you, Prasad.
All right. Thank you so much, Sandhya. All right. Now, once again, good morning each and everyone for participating in this session. Now, I hope my audio is audible and my studio is visible for all. So, can you just drop a chat to the window where I'll get the confirmation here. Is it audible?
Yeah, it is audible. Can everyone see the camera as well? Are you able to see him performing the demo? Yeah, looks like.
Yes, we are able to see.
I can see both.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. Now, Sandhya clearly mentioned here, you can hear videos off as well as audio. Let it be mute, because if it is on, it will disturb others. So now when I ask questions, if required, you can unmute and you can answer, or else you can keep both things mute. Any questions, any doubt, just drop that to a chat window, guys. You can just drop that to a chat window, so that can be taken in the end, or my colleague Mr. Sachin is on line, so even he'll be answering that questions in case if required, or that can be discussed in the end. So this session will go up to 11:40 or 45. Is it okay, Sandhya? 11:40, 11:45?
Sure.
It's already 10, almost 11:10,
yeah.
no?
Sure.
9. Fine, right? Yeah. So it's simple practices, best practices we say. We say safety. It's everyone's subject. When what happens is, I'm not blaming anyone. Most of the time, people think that this kind of a safety training is for securities. Safety training is for maintenance team. Safety training is for housekeeping team, not for me. People have this mindset. Not here, don't take me wrong, no offense here, but generally this is the mindset of people where they think that safety is all for them, not for me. I know what to do. Kuch ho gaya, we'll see later. Or something goes wrong, I know what to do. Or something goes wrong, we'll manage that. So you can't manage. We cannot manage in safety, and we should not compromise in safety, because something goes wrong. It is all about life. If once life goes, you'll not get life back. Just you accept that. There are so many incidents. There are so many cases where people are not trained, where people do not know what to do. In that case, where the people lose life as well as property. So I would like to share you one incident which took place in London. Not to threaten anyone here, not to terrorize anyone, not to scare anyone, just to understand why this safety training is for us. right? Very importantly, in our sector, the residential sectors or the apartments and all, hardly people do this. We are fortunate we get this kind of opportunities, but in not all the residential building you'll find this kind of safety trainings we conduct here. So we participate. Thank you so much for the time and patience, and I'll assure you this won't be a waste of time. Some of us would be thinking this is a waste of time. Why I should attend this session for almost 1 hour? Why I sit in front of the system? So we should know this is for us. Emergency can occur in anywhere, any place, any time. If something goes wrong, if you are not prepared, it is done. It is over. So this incident took place in London. I hope this is visible. My slide is visible. I can just drop S on the chat window so that I'll get the confirmation if it is visible. So this was in London, where the building called Grenfell Tower building, tall building, 24-storied building, a small fire, guys, and it was very small fire. Within a minute, whole building burnt, and more than 100 residents got killed. So I'm not threatening, I repeat, I'm not terrorizing anyone, just creating awareness. So within a minute, whole building burnt, and more than 100 residents got killed, guys. Now what happened, we should know. Everyone should know here. And this is a tall building, high-rise building. Now, in definition of a high-rise building is ground plus 4 floors or 15 meters in height is called high-rise building. Now, this building was ground plus 24-floor building, and the 4th floor fire accident. How it started? In a refrigerator. Now, that refrigerator started fire. It's around 1:30 a.m. Now that time usually we sleep, the night deep sleep stage time. There it started from a refrigerator, but unfortunately no one knew what to do, and alarm system failed, firefighting system, sprinkler system failed, and the people are not trained. They do not know what to do. More than 100 residents got killed. Now we can mitigate. If it is in the initial stage, we all can fight that fire. So I'd like to start with a small demonstration where you could see here there are small tray, glasses and all. And I request with all people, do not attempt this, guys. So we just train this, we practice this, and we do this demonstration where my team here, where they'll be supporting us in case something goes wrong. Nothing will go wrong, but in case something goes wrong, they'll be assisting me. They'll be supporting me. So I want to share you one here. No, I want to, when it is in a starting stage, when we say fire, when it is in an initial stage, we all can fight that fire. You need not require a fire extinguisher to fight that fire, and you may not get the extinguisher all the time. So you just a simple small newspaper. You can use this as a firefighting tool, or you can use a blanket. You can use a thick bed sheet. You can use that as a tool to fight a fire. So I'd like to do a small demonstration here. So where if you see a small fire, if you take a glass, I'll take a glass to set that fire, where I'll use a small amount of water, and I use a petrol. So I'll just show you how we can fight fire. So this is the initial stage fire. You can see here. Suppose if it is small fire like this, initial stage fire. So here you need not require a fire extinguisher. I hope this fire is visible. So you need not require a fire extinguisher to fight a fire. Just a simple, and you can just use this as a tool to fight a fire. Just watch here. Just place it, and you fight a fire. Simple. Or simple blanket can be an extinguishing media there. So just small blanket. You got small blanket or bed sheet. You use that bed sheet or blanket, just cover that area like this. You fight a fire, right? That's all. So what happens, generally people think that small fire, they panic. People get panic. People try to run. People try to do what other things. They don't try to fight fire. By the time they realize, whole building will be on fire. So same thing happened here in this building, Grenfell Tower. It was an initial stage fire, but within, I told you, whole building burnt like this. Whole building burnt. If someone controlled the initial stage, it wouldn't have happened this, where more than 100 residents got killed. But unfortunately, there building burnt. This is the situation, and this is the aftermath of building. What we can see here, whole building is intact, but everything burnt. This is inside the building floor, and this is the one of the house. If you see the materials, everything got in a fire, and this is the lift lobby. This is a lift lobby. Now, why more than 100 residents killed? Why more than 100 residents got killed here? We should know. Emergency, we have to exit from staircase, not lift. During emergency, we have to come out through staircase. That building was high-rise building, and that building had only one staircase, single staircase, that was in the center middle, and more than 100 people trapped and got killed. Fire was in 4th floor. The both floors people got, and these are the people lost life on that. More than 100 kids, men, women, elderly person. So more than 100 residents got killed. And here in this accident, one guy was trapped, and he was in a 22nd floor. He was in 22nd floor, and he was a specially able person, meaning he was in a wheelchair. Now either he has to come through a lift or someone has to assist him. Both access were not there. His text message to his sister: "I'm trapped in my house. Please come and help me. Please come and assist me." No. That was the last message, and he lost his life. Unfortunate. When I say evacuation, we should know whom to assist first, how to come outside. So that procedure quickly I'm going to speak here. But unfortunately here, these people got trapped because they followed wrong protocol. Their procedure was totally wrong. If you can read that, you can read that in a line. For residents, if the fire is not in your dwelling, the rule was for them, stay put in your dwelling unless you are directly affected by the fire. Now this is not for fire. This protocol is not for fire. This is for outside emergency. But they followed this for fire, and these people got trapped, and these people lost life. So this because of panic. This is because of mindset, attitude, we say, where something goes wrong, we'll see later. Baad mein. No. So we should know, moment I notice a fire, what is my protocol? So that protocol, this procedure, these are general procedure, we say, not only in the building, residential building. Tomorrow you're in a mall. Tomorrow you're in a Publix. Tomorrow you're in an office. You're in some other building. Something goes wrong. You have to know minimum do's and don'ts if you notice a fire. So first job, you please alert all the people by triggering the alarm system. You might have seen this red color square box, where red color square box, you just break that glass, you trigger the alarm, or you can just press that system, you trigger the alarm. Or the new systems are where you can just pull that lever. So these are the break glass is old system, press is a new system, and pull the new system here. So this is first step. You have to trigger the alarm, alert all the people by activating this. But these are called manual call point, meaning you have to operate manually. So this is manual call point. There are some places you get automated system like detectors, cup shape. Those are called automated call point. So this is an alarm system, and this is a firefighting system. This is called sprinkler system. Here it needs temperature, and the temperature builds that the fluorescent bulb burst open, and there will be a splash of water. So this is the firefighting system. Alarm system, it can be MCP or detector. So first job, moment you notice a fire, alert all the people, inform, call for help. Now when we say call for help, everyone should know the numbers, emergency numbers like fire, police, ambulance. I hope everyone know the numbers, fire number, police number. If you all know, I would like to ask a question here. You can just drop that to a chat window. If I want to call a fire brigade, what is the fire brigade number? Can you just drop that to a chat window, guys? What is the fire brigade number if I want to call a fire brigade? What is fire brigade number? Deepa? Anyone? What is fire brigade number? Can you just drop that to a chat window so that I can see here? 100, 104, maybe 101. It is 101. Maybe it is 101, guys. Please remember, fire brigade number is 101, not 102, not 104, not 100. It is 101. So don't mind. Now this happens. When we ask fire brigade, usually people do that, answer one or two people. When we ask police, everyone is 100 because we do that. Day in, day out. When police catches, they give 100 and they run. So that is a give and take policy with the police. So that shouldn't happen. So everyone should know fire brigade number is 101, police number is 100, ambulance number is 102, 108, and if you're in a Bengaluru, number is 1062, and traffic police number is 103. Now generally traffic police need not come and catch us, but number is 103, guys. Remember. So these numbers are there now, but we all got one new number, and that number is called National Emergency Number, and that number is 112. Please remember this number. We have this. other numbers 100, 101, 108, other numbers are there. But we got one new number that is called national emergency number, and that number is 112. Any emergency, fire brigade 112, police 112, ambulance 112. No, women helpline number again it is 112. Child abuse again number is 112, and that is globally specified number. Please remember this. Now you're in India, 112. Tomorrow you go to some other country. Don't go now in a COVID season. Not season, the time pandemic. You know, some other time you go to another country, different other countries. You don't know that country's emergency number. Please remember this 112. It is globally specified number, and that 112 has one app. That is called 112 India application. It is a very beautiful application. Just install that app in your smartphone, guys. You are in a trouble. You just click on that app and you can get service, because that can track you. These other numbers, what do we see here? 102, 101, 100 and all. You should give your name. You should give your location. You should give your address and all. But that 112, it is quick number and it is easy. Just it can track you. Just dial that. You get the service on the spot. So that is the communication. So you should know how to call. Please remember this. It is globally specified number. It is globally specified number. Remember this. Not only for India, it is for global. Right? Like for example, if you go to US, number is 911. UK it is 999. But this one it is global. In India as well as other countries also, you'll find this. So communication is important here. First alert, then you have to call. Communication. If it is a small fire, you can fight, but calling also you should know. Fire brigade, when we say there are two types of vehicle, you might have seen. One is called firefighting vehicle, another one is for rescue vehicle. So firefighting vehicle, rescue vehicle, you should know. So there are two types of vehicles. So when I call, you call the correct emergency. If I want to call a fire brigade, okay, little slower, right? So you have to call fire brigade, and you should tell them, sir, this is a fire accident in the building. There's a fire accident in the building, and we need fire vehicle. We get fire vehicle. If we want to do a rescue operation, building collapsed, where people tapped into the building, or tree fell on the road, that has to be cleared for that vehicle movement. So you have to call rescue vehicle. So their rescue vehicle comes and it will clear the way, and people they do the rescue operation. So this is the thing we should know. So I repeat, first alert all the people and you call for help. Suppose if it is a small fire, initial stage fire, we can fight those fire with the fire extinguisher. If it is possible, yes, we can try to control with the other things. But if available fire extinguisher available, you fight those extinguisher with the extinguisher. If you don't know, it's come outside, evacuate your place. You have to evacuate your building. Now, when we say evacuation, there is something called critical time. As per the guidelines or the study says, it is only 3 minutes. Meaning any small unnoticed fire can become big, huge, and uncontrollable. And let me just show you a small video where a small fire, not a real house. I hope this video is playing on your system. There is no video in this, no audio in this, just a video it is. A small experiment conducted here where a small fire set in a sofa, and that room is filled with materials, that is ordinary materials, that is chair, sofa, paper and all. Now there we set a small fire and we see the time. So you can see the top right corner time started, and there is small fire. So this is called initial stage fire. Now when we fire, it is fire. Fire is just a fire. Generally we say small fire, medium fire, big fire. So that is something else, small, big, large. So when you say fire, it is initial stage fire, growing stage fire, and fully decayed stage fire. So this is called initial stage fire. Can we fight this fire? Yes. We all can fight, because it is not spreading, it is in a sofa, and it's not in a blaze stage, it is an initial stage. We all can fight this fire. Here if you have a blanket, you can have a small bucket of water, you can run water and can fight. So 1 minute, fire in sofa, it is not spreading. And if you see smoke, usually what you think, fire kill people. Fire not kill anyone. Fire is not that major killer. What kills people here? It is always smoke and panic kills. Why smoke? Smoke contains toxic gases, deadly gases, which if you for 2-3 breaths, that's it, done. Person will collapse and person will lose life. Smoke. Then panic. What is panic? Panic is disease. Panic is fear. Panic is anxiety. Panic is like a virus. If it spreads like a anything like coronavirus, it spreads like that. So it is that. These are the two major things, killer. It is smoke and panic, not fire. If you see, almost 1 minute 45 seconds, fire still in sofa. But what happened? Smoke covered that area, ceiling. Real time, this is the scenario, guys, where people, you can't walk, we can't run, Usually people say run. Never ever run. Never ever run during emergency. What happens? It can lead to stampede, panic. So you should stay low and you should take a brisk walk. But when it is smoke, full of smoke, people should stay low. We have to crawl. We have to crawl, which I'm going to show you how to do that. But here you can't fight fire. In this stage, we cannot fight fire. We have to escape. We have to come outside. Now, study says 2.5 minutes. We all have 2.5 minutes to escape. Now, you don't know how to evacuate in this 2.5 minutes. Watch here what will happen. So this is the target time. This is the target time where you can come outside. If you don't know how to come outside, now watch here. Fire ceiling sofa. There are so many materials in that room. Within a fraction of a second, whole room will get on fire. Watch. You need not set for other materials. That's it. Not in 3 minutes, guys. Not even 3 minutes. It's just 2 minutes 55 seconds. But you can see here everything burnt. So this stage is called as a flashover. So this stage is called flashover. So in this point, you cannot evacuate. Neither you can fight that fire. So here fire kills. This is the stage where fire takes over and it kills. So here we should know moment we get alarm sound or moment we get this announcement, public address system announcement, an emergency in the building or emergency has been declared. So what people should do, we have to evacuate. We should stop our job, whatever it is. Do not get panic. Do not worry about your personal belongings and should take a brisk walk. Do not run. Take the nearest emergency exit, use staircase, do not ever use lift, come outside, do not go terrace, do not go to the basement, come to open air, safe zone, evacuate. But while evacuating, assist needy people. It can be especially able, it can be expecting mothers, in apartments like us, resident buildings, you take care of pets also, get all the people, get them out, get them to safe for some area. And you have to be away and you have to be there in a safe zone until you get all clear signal. This is the procedure we should do follow. The moment you hear the alarm sound or sometimes you get the announcement. I repeat, stop your job. You can't tell one last cooking, I'll cook that food and come back. Now who will eat that ultimately? No. So you have to stop whatever it is. Do not get panic. Do not worry about your personal belongings. Usually this is a tendency. I'll get my book, I'll get my cash, I'll get my jewelries. Emergency, if you lose life, then it's no use. So you have to stop. You should not worry about the personal belongings and do not run. Take a brisk walk. Proceed towards the nearest emergency exit. We have multiple staircases. Use the nearest emergency exit. Come outside. Do not ever use lift. Now, guys, lift can be dead trap. But tendency every day in day out, people we all use lift. Emergency we use lift. It is done. It is over. Now what happens? Upar fire, niche fire. Beech mein tandoori kebab ho jaoge. Bas. So never ever use lift. Staircase is important. Use staircase. Come outside. Hold the railings, evacuate the building and come to safe zone. And I told you assist needy people. Now I told when I assist, we have to take care of especially abled, expecting mother, kids, elderly person, pets, women and men. So that's the way you have to come outside, evacuate. Okay, one question. Okay, that I can later. Right. And come to a safe zone and be there in a safe zone. Usually we stand in line for head counts and all. If possible you do that or just cross check with your family members all are here or not. If not, you have to report. So when I told you while evacuating, if it is a smoke filled room, you have to crawl like this. You have to stay low and you have to should crawl like a baby. So this is the procedures. This is the procedure for evacuation in case of any fire emergency. This is the procedure. So just quick an understanding about the evacuation procedure, because life safety is important. When we say the priorities, when we ask priorities, two things. One is life, second is property. So what comes first? Life comes first. So that I touched here. So that this till now it is all about life saving techniques, life saving procedures that we are done here. Now quickly let me just go to the very important bit called LPG safety or kitchen safety. Now, when we say LPG safety or kitchen safety, again, it is a tendency. Something goes wrong in the kitchen, like cooking pan caught fire. Now, what happens here? Usually, it is a tendency. People try to pour wood. Let me just go with a small demonstration once again here. So here, usually, the recent incident you might have heard, one husband wanted to impress his wife. Anyone read about this incident? So here, that guy, that he wanted to impress his wife. Because nowadays most of us are working from home, so he tried to for wife. So what he has done there, he took the pan and he has taken prepare some no dry items or something. So he just used the oil and he kept the pan and he just poured, and he used some oil, cooking oil to that, and he was trying to cook that with the food. Suddenly what happened, generally it is a tendency, the concentration is important here. So suppose something goes, suddenly cooking pan caught fire, it is a tendency, everyone do these things, everyone, people do that. Suddenly cooking pan caught fire, what we think here, get water and pour water, that's just run water, pour water, it will extinguish fire. If you could see here what happens here, people think that, people do that, by pouring water it will extinguish fire. Now what happens here, when you pour water like this, it just spills and that becomes a major fire. So never do this. So we know what to do here, right? Now what happens when I pour water to a cooking oil or oil fire, it just spills, it just becomes a major fire, because water is not that one media to fight fire, or what is that one, not that one media to fight all types of fire. So that things I'm going to explain here. What happens in that case, in that other day, that case, what happened, that person had a burn injury, severe burn injuries, the 2nd degree, 3rd degree burn injuries on his body. So never ever pour water on a cooking pan fire or the oil fire. So what happened here, so if you pour water, it spills and it will extinguish, it will spread and it can be devastating here. So it can become a major blaze here. So never pour water on a cooking fire. So we should about that. So I'm going to discuss here. When we say LPG, every household will find this LPG cylinders. Now most of the apartments you'll find this piped LPG, line piping, where you find the gas tank outside and they connect the line and they supply that. So if you have a household LPG cylinders in our house, so we should know minimum do's and don'ts with the LPG. So when we say LPG is a liquefied petroleum gas, and it is a flammable, highly flammable gas, and it is heavier than air. LPG is heavier than air, and the expansion ratio of LPG is, and it is liquefied petroleum gas. If you get 1 spoon of LPG to the atmosphere, it can expand up to 250 times. It is highly flammable. So in case if you smell LPG, everyone should know minimum do's and don'ts, and most of us know that. So but again, good practice it is, moment you smell that, and LPG is not having a smell, where in fact LPG is a mixture of propane and butane, 2 gases they mix, and it doesn't have, it is odorless. So there they add one chemical called ethyl mercaptan, so that's kind of a pungent smell. So when you sense that smell, what is the best practice here? So immediately you have to close knob and regulator, walk barefoot, close knob and regulator, immediately you should do that, and open all the doors, windows, open all the doors, windows, where it can come outside, where gas can spread outside, and any open flames, put off that open flame. It can be candle, it can be agarbatti, kuch bhi. You have to put off all the flames, and never ever touch any electrical appliances. Again, this is a tendency, we think that, oh, that fan is on, let me put off that and off. So what happens here, that small spark can sufficient to explode, because it is highly flammable. So never to touch the electrical switches here, that is important. So don't do that. If it is on, let it be on. If it is off, let it be off. That is important. And after every cooking, so we should know what to do here. So this is the main thing. It happened recently in one incident where somewhere near Koramangala, one fire accident took place, where what happened, LPG cylinder started leaking. LPG cylinder, it has a nib on inside, so it started leaking. So people don't know, that household people doesn't know what to do. Now they reported there, so people came, all the neighbors came, all are thinking what to do now, what to do. So people are telling, put some sand on that, put some sand on top, so it will stop the LPG leakage. Some people telling, put some water, just dip into the water, or just take that cylinder into the water tank, it will stop leaking. No, it will not. Some people say that you can put some cow dung on that, it will stop. No, what is important here, every cylinder will find a small cap, that is called LPG cap, safety cap it is. So you just plug in that cap, you can arrest the LPG leakage. If it is leaking from a cylinder, you can just arrest that. So that we should know. There's a good practices here. And again, this is a good practice. After every cooking, always you have to close regulator and the burner. So this is important here. And also when we cook, when you match when we light a LPG, it is a good practice where it is said that first you should light the matchstick. Then open the regulator, and you have to open the burner and light the LPG, because where you can save almost 2 to 3% of LPG in that. Monthly you can save 2 to 3%. Where first light the matchstick, then open the burner and use the LPG. And matchstick is better than the lighter, because when people use, if it is old lighter, when we use lighter which go for almost years, one lighter for 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, it shouldn't be the case. Sometimes people do tuku, that will not open. Tuku. When it open, when the flame starts, where everything will burn, whole thing will be smashed there. So better, the best thing is, you can use matchstick. I'm not promoting any matchstick here, but the matchstick is safer than the lighter. That we should know here. Right. So, and again, this is a good practice here. And never roll the cylinders. This is not a practice where usually you see this dealers where they come with cylinders, they get the cylinder and just drop into the floor and they roll that cylinders. This is not a good practice. The best practice is you have to roll like this. This is the way to roll the cylinder. And when we store the cylinders, it should not in a horizontal position, that has to be in a vertical position. Always remember this. This is the way to store the cylinder. When we place it inside the compartment, it has to be properly ventilated. If it is not ventilating, we should not keep inside the cabinets. This is not a good practice. In case LPG leaks out, it spreads, it can be an explosion here. So it has to be proper ventilation, or else you should not. Never go for mechanical job. So where there is a team, they come and do that. So, and for LPG there is one number. So I hope you guys knowing this. Anyone, what is that emergency number for LPG? If I want to call LPG emergency number, anyone? You can just drop that to a chat window. Dedicated emergency number for LPG. No audio? Am I audible? Yeah. Yeah, that is emergency number. That is for globe emergency number. But for LPG, there is one dedicated number. That is 1906. At 1906. Very good, Vasudev. That's the number. Please remember this number. Of course, this is a paid service, but they'll come and support us. It is 24/7. Any emergency regarding this LPG, you just dial this 106. You get the service. Please remember this. So we all should know this, right? And also, that's what I was saying, that cap. So in case LPG cylinder is leaking, that cap. Now never place cylinder unattended. Oh, sorry, this thing that LPG is empty. All the LPG cylinder will be empty, but there will be vapor inside. So you have to always plug in that cap. Never leave that cap hanging. So always remember, you have to plug in that cap. And some people wants to do that. Everything they want to draw from the cylinder. Everything want to draw from the cylinder. They just put into hot water. They just put in hot water and do that. Now these things we find generally some cold places, very cold areas where that LPG can become ice and it freezes. So where they use that, but not in the south side. So never do this. So these are the simple practices, good practices, safety practices regarding this LPG cylinders. Now most of the buildings, as I told you, we have this reticulated or piped gas system apparatus in apartments where multiple cylinders. Reticulated means it is an arranged way. They arrange in gas cylinders in that is called gas bank. Outside the building in a safe place, we arrange this, and they connect the line and they just distribute the line to the whole apartment, to the flat. So there will be having individual connection, individual the walls where we can use that. So what happens? We should know what is the safety practices here when we use this piped gas system. I hope most of the buildings have this. Most of the buildings have this pipe system. So in that case, what we should do? The best practices, always remember, gas bank must have a good ventilation. There we should have a good ventilation and avoid wiring for lighting inside the gas bank. So you should make sure those things taken care there. And bottom portion of the room ventilated with the brass mesh only, because when it leaks, in case if it leaks, it has to come outside. It should leak. Do not allow mobile inside the gas bank. Outside I'm speaking. And always check inside when it comes out, to the inlet. When you come to that inlet in your building or the flat or the cooking your kitchen, you have to check always regularly, frequently check that inlet. And if any leakage meters frequently, if you have pressure gauge, check that frequently. And always check the joints and other measurements with the soap water, if or oil, where you can check that leakage or not. So these things we frequently have to check all these things. So this is about the maintenance part, about the pipeline. And in case if it leaks, you have to follow the same procedure. Close the main wall, and you have to do the other things. Open all the doors, windows, where it can gas can come outside, and don't touch an electrical appliance again here, because again that is LPG flammability. So you should follow the same procedure there. And but this is the procedure for the reticulated gas system. Now, when generally apartments tend to go into the cooking area or the kitchen room, so there should be have a proper space. We say no kid-free zone. Kid-free zone. We have to maintain that at least 1 to 2 meter distance from kitchen, or do not allow kids to go inside the kitchen. If no one inside, then it might lead to other injuries there. So that we should take care. And always, this is a good practice where the pot handles, if you could see, usually unknowingly some people do that. They face outward. Kids try to do that. They want to check what is cooking, and they try to pull that. In case if they pull, what happens in case that hot material or the hot cooking, it might fall. So there it can lead to a burn injuries. It can lead to a burn injuries. So when we say burn injuries, we should know it can be hot water, it can be hot oil, it can be anything, acid, it can be chemical, something fell on the body, part of the body. So burn injuries, first aid for burn injury is water. Please remember this. Again, people have this misconception: if I pour water, blisters will come, bubbles will come. It will come because that is natural protected come. Right. So always remember, water is the best media, because only water has that thermal capacity to absorb the heat. Only water has that. Blisters will come because when you say burn injury, there are degrees of burn. You might have heard this: first degree burn, second degree burn, degree burn. What is first degree? Superficial burn. That is redness in the skin. That is first degree burn. If that blister formation takes place, that is called second degree burn. If you break that blister, it is open to environment and it is infectious and it is more dangerous. So there you have to make sure you are protecting that area. So any burn injury, you have to run water, flood with water, minimum 10 to 15 minutes of running water is important here. Tap water is best. Running water is best. If no tap, at least take a tub or bucket, stir that part of the body so that it can cools down. So remember this: run water, and in that process, remove any kind of constructions like ring, jewelry, anything. You just remove that. Or if it is a third degree burn, if it is a deep wound burn, don't place that, keep it open because it can be infectious. So try to cover that wound with a sterile cloth, clean cloth, and you should rush to the hospital for the secondary aid in a hospital. But remember, any burn injury, water, and water. As I told you, it can be oil, it can be hot water, it can be chemical, it can be acid. Please run water for any burn injuries. Right? Blisters, it will come because it is called natural protection, guys. Please remember this. So this is the tips. Suppose my clothing is on fire suddenly when we cook. Now LPG, when we say the kitchen safety, there is a good practice where avoid using nylon cloth or polyester materials, or some general people do use sari or salwar, the salwar and all, where it shouldn't be a nylon or the polyester materials because it is more prone to catch fire. So you should avoid all cloth. Suppose by chance if it is catching fire or if caught fire, your clothing caught fire, you should not run. Never ever run. Please remember these three simple steps called stop, drop, roll. Why you should not run? You run, you get more oxygen, more fire. That's all. You run more oxygen, more fire. It can aggravate. So just remember these three simple steps called stop, drop, and roll. So wherever you are stopped there, cover your eyes, protect your eyes, drop on the ground, and you roll. Now roll in such a way that your four sides should touch the ground. Four sides should touch the ground. That is the way you have to roll. So this is a simple technique to save our life. So this is the this is the part of kitchen safety. So this is the second part of that. In case of any small fire or initial stage fire, here we should know how to fight that fire. Now, when we say fire, yes, we all know fire extinguisher, but before that we all should know bit of fire here. Now when I say fire, it is a chemical reaction between three elements. Please spill this. So it is a chemical reaction between three elements, that is fuel, oxygen and heat. Now when these three elements combine together, we get fire, which we all learned in our school days. But what we should know in our level, when I say fire, two elements are ready in all the places, that is fuel and oxygen. Fuel and oxygen. What is fuel? Anything combustible. It can be solid, it can be liquid, or it can be gaseous. So fuel is there, oxygen is there in the atmosphere. What we need is heat. Now when the three elements combine together, we get fire. Now everyone know, but make sure fuel element, heat element should not be very close. If it is very close, anytime it can lead to an accident or it can be a fire accident. So we should know how to prevent an accident, because prevention is better than cure. And majority of the fire accidents takes place from electricity. This is the major cause. Electricity is the major cause, and there are so many incidents where it can be negligence, it can be carelessness, or it can be not identify hazard which leads to a fire accident. So let me just run few pictures here quickly. 5 minutes I'll take here. So quickly, let just be run few pictures. It is easy to understand here. If you could see this picture here, that cable got damaged behind cotton. That cable got damaged, and you can see that the naked wire. So it is generating heat. So that is heat behind cotton. It is fuel. So these two elements are very close. If it catches fire, and it is done there. No, sorry, if it is kept like that, if it is not noticed for a long time, it will catch fire. This is hazard here. So similarly, if we see this picture here, damaged light fixture, again it is hazard. Care dangling here, no proper covering. So no, this is again hazard here. Fuse units. When I say fuse unit, it's a safety device. Any overload that should trip. But in people, what we do, if we trips now and then, we do one thick copper wire, we plug it, and we say nothing will happen. So nothing will happen here. Everything will burn, because that is a safety device. Any overload, meaning if it is tripping now and then, probably problem is in a line, not in a fuse. That we should know. People do that. Now this is the plug top, supposed to be a fuse unit, but they replace with a screw here. So it's not a good practice, guys. So these are bad practices. We have to educate people what go wrong if it is done like this, right? And if you could see the clothing hanging near the switchboard, panel board, right? So again, what happens? It is fuel, and the electricity, it is having generating heat. So these are very close. It can lead to an accident here. Very important. I'll answer that. Anand, I'll answer for that your question after this session. I'll do that. Right. And the causes, and this is the practices we find in most of the buildings, where you'll find this electrical panel room. People think electrical panel room is a multi-purpose where I can store anything. So if you see this picture, it's supposed to be only electrical panel board, but they dumped all the material. This is one of the apartment we are taken. I'm not going to mention that which apartment, but here. So it has to be placed only the panel room, not other materials, because if that placed like that, if a small fire, if it catches fire, then it is done. Everything will burn. And these kind of cables you'll find most of the building basements. Routings of a cable is very important. If it is not routing properly, if this cables catches fire, then you get the toxic gases, carbon monoxide, hydrogen cyanide, phosgene, acrolein, deadly gases. So it has to be routed properly. This is also very important. And finally, you should know the sockets, multiple sockets here. So one connection, one point, multiple connections. So this practice again we find in most of the places. So this is again not a good practice. Again, hazard here. Right? And smoking is also hazard. So why I'm saying that one cigarette can burn entire building. One cigarette can burn entire building. Now what happens? The tip of the temperatures, the cigarette temperature, it can rise up to 300 to 400 degrees centigrade. Right? It is highly flammable. So what happened? Recent incident where an apartment, a guy was smoking and he fell asleep. That cigarette was in a bed, and he fell asleep. Next moment, whole room got in a fire. That whole house caught fire only because of cigarette. So it is highly flammable. So we should know that. Right. So if it is no smoking, you should follow, or you will find the ashtrays and all. Generally, we do not recommend anyone. Don't do that. It's injurious to health, but in case if you want to smoke, you should have a proper ashtrays, or else this happen here. So this is the prevention tips, or we say hazard spotting. If you come across a hazard, fire hazard, your duty is to identify the hazard. You should report that, because sometimes you can't correct that, you can't repair that. You have to report, where the experts come and they do the repairing job. Your job is reporting, you should know. Or if it is a small fire, how do you fight a fire? Very simple it is. Firefighting is so very important, so very easy. This is triangle, fire triangle, 3 elements here. Remove any one element, you fight a fire. No, the firefighters, what they do, firefighting done in 3 principles here. One is called starvation, second is called blanketing, and third is called cooling. Now, what is starvation? You have to remove the unburnt material. Suppose there are multiple equipment. Suppose if you see there are multiple the wooden racks where one rack caught fire. What I have here now, no fire extinguishers. What I can do, remove unburnt rack from area where it can extinguish by itself. That is called starvation, one method of firefighting. Second method is called blanketing. Blanketing, which I have done here demonstration, where you can just cover that with a blank paper or a blanket, where it cuts down the oxygen level. That is blanketing method. And third method is called cooling. You have to run water, pour sufficient amount of water, you fight fire. But again, most of us have this misconception where people think that, I repeat here, water is one media. What is the one solution to fight all types of fire? No, guys, water you cannot use for all types of fire. Let me just show you. So let me just take a glass, in a glass, half a glass of water, and I'll take bit petrol. Now, why water is not the solution for all types of fire? You just watch here. I hope this is visible. My glass, guys, this is petrol, not anything else. Right. So here, if you see the water settled down in the bottom, the petrol, if it's floating, if I pour, if it catches fire, usually tendency is run water. If you pour water, what will happen? It spills. Just watch here, guys. Right. And this is density. Density of water is heavier than the flammable liquid, petrol, diesel. So if it catches fire, the general tendency is pour water. Run water. You just run water. You run water. You run water. You run water. It spills out. So there, it becomes a major fire. So it's the best media. So this method is called blanketing method. Just cover with a blanket like this. You cut down the oxygen. You cut down the oxygen, it extinguishes fire. So this is the method called blanketing method. Right. So you should know here 2 things to understand here. Starvation is you remove unburned material. Suppose this caught fire, I don't have any fire extinguisher here. What I can do, I'll remove all the unburned materials from the source of fire. So this will burn, and then extinguish by itself because no fuel there. Blanketing method, you cut the oxygen level, where you can use blanket, or you can use simple paper. Even you got a paper, paper, you can use that, or you can use blanket. Just cover your hands, just keep your head back, just cover that area. That's all. So you cut down the oxygen level where you can extinguish fire. So this is the second method of firefighting. Right. And cooling, you just pour water, sufficient amount of water. Now cooling is only for ordinary fire. So when I say ordinary fire, we should know what are the types of fire here. So usually it is classified in 4 different fire. That is A, B, C, and D, and also electrical fire. Now you might have seen in a fire extinguisher, they mention on that. So what is A class? It is ordinary fire. It will burn and it produces ash in the end. Ordinary material, it can be paper, it can be wood, cotton, that is ordinary material. All right. Okay, Uma, I'm going a bit fast because I already crossed the time. If you give me 5 or 10 minutes, let me just go. We are not able to see the speaker. Right. Okay. All right. So what is A class? Ordinary fire. Okay. Ordinary fire. What is B? It is flammable liquid. Petrol, diesel, oil, kerosene. These are called flammable liquids. What is C? Gaseous. LPG, CNG, ethane, methane. That is flammable gaseous. And what is D? Combustible metal. It can be sodium, potassium, lithium, magnesium, barium. These are combustible metal. And electrical fire, it is panel board, switchboard, or any, if it is energized, it is called electrical fire. Usually people think electrical fire is only, it comes in a C class. It is merged in C class. Usually C class in India, C class referred as gaseous fire and also electrical fire. So you find sign mark in C, merged in C class. So these are the classes of fire. To douse this fire, you got medias. Yes, we got water, but water is not one media. You got other medias also. Yes, water is there, but along with that, you'll find foam, powder, and gas, CO2 gas. Right. So total 4 medias here. If it is water, it is effective only on A class. Please remember this. Water is effective only on A class. You should not use on B class. What will happen if I use on B class? You saw here. The petrol I used, I pour water, it spills. So never use. Gaseous, no. Gaseous generally in atmosphere. If you pour water, no connection, no use. Metals, some metals are highly reactive to water. Never ever pour water on a metal fire. And electricity, we all know. One transformer is burning, you run water, both will be off. That and this. So never pour water on an electrical fire. Only on ordinary fire you run water. That is the first media. Second media is foam. So mainly effective on petrol and diesel or the liquid fire, or also A class. Not on C, not on D, not on electrical fire. That's second media. Third media is powder. Generally, when we say powder, you can use any type of fire here. So it here ticked for almost all the types. So except D class, it is effective on A, B, C, and also electrical fire. CO2 effective on B class, C class, and also on electrical fire. So this is the media. So we should know, if I have a CO2 extinguisher, I should know where to operate. If I have a powder extinguisher, I should know where to operate. Before operating, we should know that. So this classification is important. A class, what is A? We should know. What is B? We should know. What is C? We should know. Everyone should know that. If I know that A, B, C, D, then I can use the fire extinguisher. So before operating any fire extinguisher, please study that extinguisher, how to operate, then how to operate. So if it is water, they mention there only A. Water extinguisher, only A, not on B, not on C, not on others. If it is foam, A and B. If it is powder, A, B, C. And C, below C, you find the thunder mark, that is electrical fire. If it is CO2, it is on B and C. People just play this out. It is on a B and C. Now, how to operate? Let me just demonstrate here. So I got a quick fire extinguisher. I'll just quickly demonstrate how to operate. So first 3 extinguishers, if you could see there, water, foam, and powder, it is squeeze type. It is in a lever type, squeeze lever type. So it is simple to operate. Right. Now D class, you'll find media, that is sodium, potassium, lithium, that you will find in a lab, some pharma they use. So there they have special media called TEC, ternary eutectic chloride powder. That there I just not touching here because it is not there. So very rare you will find that. So that is a special media for a D class. Right. So first 3 extinguisher here, water, foam, and powder. It is squeeze type. Here the formula comes with the PAS. Comes with the PAS. Formula is PAS. What is PAS? P-A-S-S. So here you'll find this extinguisher like this, and it has small gauge, pressure gauge like that. Now that gauge will indicate whether I can use or not. That gauge needle showing a green mark, healthy working condition. That gauge come to 0 mark or red mark, no pressure. So when I say this extinguisher, of course this is cut section, nothing inside. It's water is filled inside. If it is foam solution is filled inside. If it is powder is filled inside, and then pressurized with the nitrogen gas. That pressure will be showing in a pressure gauge to a green mark, that is 15 kg per cm square. Right, so that you can see. So it has a pin called safety pin. I hope this is visible. So their sides, it has a pin called safety pin, and it has a squeeze lever. This is called squeeze lever, and this is called discharge hose with the nozzle. Now, in case of any small fire, how do you operate this? Some extinguishers, they place it on the floor. So get the fire extinguisher, you have to lift the extinguisher, go close, maintain your safe distance, place it on the ground. Now let me just place it on the table now, but tell them place it on the ground. PAS, remember PAS, P-A-S-S. P refers to pull that safety pin. A refers to aim, hold the hose near the nozzle, aim to the base of fire. S refers to squeeze, you have to squeeze this lever and attack in a sideways. Fire will be doused. Simple, easy, and safe. But precautions, always remember, when remove the pin, when you hold the hose, always hold the hose near the nozzle. Some people hold here, some people hold here, some people they don't hold at all. They just squeeze. It can open like a snake. It can hit you, right? Or that whole powder can come on you. Recent one incident took place in one factory. I don't want to mention the factory's name, where I just informed told the one of the employee to operate that. He was holding the hose, but he was not holding firmly. He was just holding very loosely. Just he squeezed. What happened? Whole that the hose came into his mouth, and he ate this much of powder. Nothing happened to him, but that powder went into his mouth. So when we say hold the hose, hold it bit firmly, then operate. That's all. And if it is very old extinguisher, if it is not maintained regularly, what happens? Sometimes this will not come. Squeeze, powder will not come. Squeeze will not come. Sometimes they squeeze. Why it is not coming? They see. Then it will come. So don't do that. So if it is not coming, there is some problem. Let's get one more extra here. But basically, this is easy extinguisher. This is simple extinguisher, and these are safe extinguisher. This is one type. The one more type, it is control type. It is with the wheel, like this. You'll get like this. So where you'll find this handle, neck handle, flexible hose with the discharge horn. You'll find this discharge horn handle. On top, you'll find a safety pin here. You have to, when you carry, dominating hand to carry, non-dominant hold the discharge horn, remove the safety pin, and here on top, you are not pressing. Please remember, there is no pass here. Don't follow pass for CO2. Carbon dioxide, no pass. You have to hold the extinguisher, hold discharge horn left hand, avoid metal part, hold the handle or a grip, target the base of fire. You should open this anti-clockwise. Please remember, you are turning this valve to anti-clockwise. It's like a wheel cap. Just open anti-clockwise towards left side. Open at least 3 to 4 times. That media comes out, gas comes out, and you have to sweep sideways. Fire will be doused. One small precaution: when you operate these extinguishers, this makes a noise. Don't get scared. I'll show you. If I'll operate this, don't get. So when I operate, you get this kind of a noise. Right. Don't leave and run. And clean media. So I'll repeat. I'll just show you once again. Just see. The gas comes out, and you close. It will extinguish fire. No residue, no dust. So these are 2 types of fire extinguisher. Now almost all the places we had this bang type fire extinguisher that's phased out. Now you'll find either a control type or squeeze type like this. So either squeeze type or control type. Both are easy, both are safe, both are simple extinguisher. Both can be controlled. You can control the flow of media in both extinguishers. Now quickly, let me just demonstrate how to operate. See, usually we come to your place and we demonstrate. These practices, safety practices, which we should do this hands-on experience. But today, unfortunately, because of this COVID, we cannot come to your place because of this COVID. What we are doing, we have done a small demonstration here. Let me just run few quick extinguishers operation here. If it is CO2, how to operate? Watch here. So small fire, get the fire extinguisher, go close to the fire, maintain your safe distance, hold the discharge horn, pull the pin, and just turn that valve anti-clockwise and extinguish. That's all. You close, it closes. So clean media, gas comes out, no residue, no dust. So that's one type. If it is powder, formalized pass, you have to pull the safety pin, you have to hold the hose near the nozzle, aim to the base of fire, and you just squeeze that lever and attack. Here powder comes out like a dust, but these are not harmful powder. These are harmless powder. A small amount of powder, if you inhale, nothing will happen, because these are mono ammonium phosphate powder. It is good for plants and trees. It is like a fertilizer for plants and trees. Human being, a small amount of powder, if you inhale, nothing will happen. So these are user friendly. But operation is simple. So even if it is foam, same formula is pull the pin, aim, squeeze. But foam mainly effective on flammable liquids. Watch here. If oil fire, petrol fire, you squeeze, it comes out like this, and it cover like a blanket. So this is called blanketing method. It just covers like a blanket, and that will extinguish fire. So that is foam. The last I'll show you water. Water, simply you just pull the pin, aim, clean water for ordinary fire. Paper, wood, cotton, you just attack like this. And you need not go close. For squeeze type, powder, foam and water, you need not go close. You can maintain a safe distance and you can fight the fire. So here it's a clean water. Just pour sufficient amount of water, it cools down and you fight. But this water only on ordinary fire, paper, wood and all. So this is a small demonstration we have conducted they have done this video only for your the virtual trainings. So with this, I like those. I know I just crossed your time because I just tried to cover almost everything here. So here, any questions, any doubts, you can unmute and you can ask, or you can just drop down to the chat window where it can be taken over. My colleague Sachin will be here, so I think he has answered for almost all the questions. But in case anything left out, please unmute and you can answer the question. I can answer that.
Thank you, Prasad. That was a.
Thank you, sir.
In these conditions, yeah, I think this was a very relevant thing. Most of us are cooped up at home and blissfully unaware of what can happen. So you've just given us a glimpse of what to do if something happens. Thank you very much for that. Before we start taking the questions, just a note here. Shankar Swaminathan, who one of our GC members, has taken a lead on fire safety. He has been. Hello. Thank you. So he has been, getting collaborating with students of Jain University and getting complexes their fire or safety audit done. So Shankar, would you like to speak about it? Maybe a couple of sentences. Thank you. Shankar?
Yes, Sandhya. Right. Anyway, thank you, Prasad, and I note even Sachin is there with us. So, just as Sandhya was mentioning, it's almost a year since we did a kind of a survey of fire safety in individual apartments. We had Mr. Sachin, who took from WIS, who had a very active role in helping us put together a package. We worked with students of Jain University. And then we also actually had some support from Beyond Carlton because they have been spearheading some kind of an initiative to make sure fire safety is given prominence in cities. So the only appeal I see, about 45-50 people from our membership group are here. I would have been happy if we have had a lot more people join. I hope possibly with this kind of a session, we can have some more and we can draw more people to come and join and to understand the importance of safety, because these are fire safety is something, just as the presenter was telling, most of us think it's not going to, fire is not something that's going to affect us. But when it does come and happen in our apartment complex, most of us really struggle. We don't know what to do and how to go about it. So some brief sessions like this periodically in the BAF Ki Baat is something that we would like to do and make sure all of us need to be self-sufficient to some extent. Because as the presenter was telling, when an emergency or a fire situation happens, we in the apartment are left by ourselves till those first 2-3 minutes. We saw the video where we said 2 minutes or 2.5 minutes is a critical time phase. So probably those golden moments, all of us in the apartment, we must have some individuals who can take the lead to understand some of this, and with the support of a few others, we must try to make sure we tackle this emergency until real help comes to us. We should make sure we are able to do our own bit in trying to restrict or restrain the fire. So anyway, I get back to Sandhya. So Sandhya, we can have the rest of the question answer session go on. My only request is we have a lot more members who have joined BAF in the last. If all of you can come forward, and then we really try to figure out a session whereby people can, or rather, a survey we want to do, again, resume, so that more apartments come to know how their fire safety systems are in their complexes. Thank you, Sandhya.
Thank you, Shankar. There are a couple of questions on the chat window. We'll take that up first before we go on to letting people, ask. Yeah. Okay, I think there's a query from Kamish asking, is 112 a global emergency number or is it only specific to India?
April, he said that. It is global.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I think Sachin has responded, but still I would like to take this up.
It was
The
launched
purpose to come
in
out
India.
fast in the event of fire.
Have a small ceasefire equipment. How many years can it last, please?
One time. Come again. The question was ceasefire.
I have a small ceasefire equipment which is mounted on the
Okay.
wall. How many
Okay.
years does it go? Because it's quite old, like 7-8 years at least.
May I know which extent? Is it powder or CO2?
Powder.
Okay, if it is powder, once in 5 years you should, no, sorry, once in 3 years you have to recharge that, refill that, irrespective of usage.
Oh, so
So
who
use
does
or
that?
not once in 3 years.
Can you
Who will do that
please
filling up?
tell the order in which
Who will do the filling up, please?
The service provider who the ceasefire doing that. If it is CO2, that is once in 5 years. If it is powder, once in 3 years, you should recharge, refill the media.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
I want to ask a question. Can I?
Please.
Okay. There are a couple of things. If you want to connect with you, can you just give your mobile number so that there are a lot of issues which we need to discuss maybe
Sure.
later on.
Yeah, we'll do that. So yeah, let's try to chat.
Oh.
Hi Prasad, Mahadev here from VBHC Palm 1. I'm the president here. So I have one question. Is there any rule or any guideline that fire safety audit need to be conducted for any kind of apartment? Is there any frequency as per the government guidelines?
No, as such, there is the drill we do, evacuation drills. The fire brigade, they come and do the inspections once in 2 years. That is in Karnataka.
Okay.
It depends. The evacuation drill we have to conduct. That is 6 months. But the audit, inspection, there is no guidelines as such. Anything? Let me just check with the Sachin also. I think.
Yeah. Adding to that, actually, in Karnataka, the ruling is after this Beyond Carlton incident. The High Court has given a ruling to the fire brigade that once in 2 years they are supposed to go to the building, and then they have to satisfy. There are a lot of things they mentioned. 40% of the people have to be trained, and you need to have a proper setback area. Now, this is meant only for high-rise buildings. That is, if a building is 15 meters, that is approximately ground plus 4 floors and above. So that will be done by the fire brigade here. That is, Karnataka State Fire Department has to do that. But if
okay.
To do an audit internally, that's a good option. You can do it at least once in 2 years also.
Okay, thank you, Sachin. Thank you so much for the clarification. So my apartment is of 208 apartments, which is a ground plus 3 floors. I think that is not applicable for us.
Can somebody monitor as to who can ask the next question? Because a lot of people
Sure.
end up talking at the same time.
Anyway, whether it is 1 floor, 2 floor, 3 floors, right? Especially in apartment, large people do live there.
I mean, doing an audit is always required, whether it's an independent house or a high-rise. But when it comes to the law and rules, I think Shankar can respond to that. Shankar.
Yeah, okay. All of you in the audience, one thing I want to say, the regulation for fire safety inspection has been changed after the Beyond Carlton fire. Sometime in 2011, there was a High Court verdict that came out where they said that the fire department must do inspection every 2 years. So these procedures were put in place, but from BAF side, we have also been trying to engage with the fire department, because recently they have also introduced tariffs for all those inspections every 2 years. That's just one element of it. Plus, they also don't have our own interaction with the fire department reveal that they do not have enough staff or inspectors who can carry out this. So this is something we are in conversation with the fire department, and there is also some regulations as to how third-party agencies can come in, which is being discussed with them. So we have created some kind of a note. We have shared some information with our GC group and the cluster group. So we also have addressed the government of Karnataka Home Department, which has also got a role to play as far as these rules are concerned. So we will try to send out a separate notice on this or information to all apartment groups. There is already some information that's been shared. We will update this. I would request all apartment members of BAF to be guided by that. And if you have questions, please do address us. Thank you.
I want to ask you a couple of things. Hello?
Yeah.
What is the height in number of floors that the fire brigade in Bangalore can attend to fire calls? We have so many high-rise buildings coming up. So is the city equipped to handle all these kind of fires? We have 40-story building, 20-story buildings are plenty. So what is the height up to which a fire department ladder can go and rescue people? And how many such fire tenders, modern fire tenders, do they have across Bangalore? And especially with the kind of traffic there is, not right now, but during normal times. I mean, this is a very important issue, which I do not think anybody is addressing at any level. The builders are going on constructing lots of high-rise buildings. It ought to be in conjunction with the fire department as well as the whatever the building code is. At least as I know, Mumbai has the capability, but Bangalore I don't know how it is.
Mukesh, in Bangalore, as of now there are 3 turntable ladders. One is the old one that is which can go up to ground plus 8 floors. That's in the Mayor station. Now they have got one in the central station that also can reach up to ground plus 8 floors. But recent one that is procured, it's in Hebbal station that can reach up to ground plus 14 floors. These are the 3 ones that are available right now, and they are also planning to purchase for a Bronto style lift. But because of this COVID situation, I think it's going to get postponed for some more time. But as of now, we have only 3, and one in Hubli and one in Mangalore. That's the only high-rise capability ladders that are available now.
This building code, is it applicable across India, or each city has their own code? Because I mean, the building code in terms of let us say having the sprinklers inside the flat. Some places they want smoke detectors and fire alarms. So what is the Bangalore ruling?
So the mother body is the NBC, National Building Code of India.
Yeah, National Building Code, yes.
Yeah, so it has been revised once in it was initially in 1987, then it was revised in 2005, and the latest guidelines changed was in 2016. So any building that is built after 2016 has to go as per the 2016 guidelines. But I think many of your apartments probably are after 2005, so you may have to go as per the National Building Code of India 2005 guidelines. The requirement of the setback area, the sprinklers, the fire alarm systems, the public address systems, everything is as per that. You have to go forward.
This NBC comes under which ministry?
Sorry?
NBC comes under which ministry? And if there are any changes to be suggested or recommended, who do we have to contact?
See that here the National Building Code of India that will be the mother body, and again that gives a provision saying that individual local departments, the fire departments can make changes. For example, in Karnataka, they give a guideline saying that 40% of the residents has to be trained, and that also by the Aramunkur station. This is not applicable all over India. So what we need to see is the main body is there of the NBC, and individual requirement of the local requirements also can be should be fulfilled.
Does it come under Home Ministry?
Yes. This comes under Home Ministry.
Okay.
So what happens to my friends who are on the upper floor? Some of them are on the 18th floor, 19th floor, some sitting on 24th
there are
floor
so
now
many
in
such
Bangalore.
buildings across Bangalore.
So there is so many. If you could go down Airport Road or ITPL that side, or Kanakpura Road or Baneghatta Road, all the buildings are like the buildings, sky high buildings only.
Yeah. See,
So how
now
are they going to get protected then? If you don't have a ladder, which doesn't go beyond 14, so what do? Run down the stairs?
Now what happens is, when we talk about a high-rise ladder, as we cannot have a very tall ladder. For example, if it is a Burj Khalifa building in Dubai, we cannot expect to have a ladder reaching so tall, because the requirement at the base will be very huge requirement. So there is no ladder which can reach 60 or 70 floors, because as the ladder moves up, because of the wind velocity or all the stability, it is anyways going to collapse. So what does the guideline says is, if a building is more than 24 meters in height, so after 24 meter you need to have an area called a refuge area, and this should be available every 15 meters of that. So in case of any emergency, people who are in the top floors, they're supposed to come to this area of refuge. Sometimes what they do is the entire one floor will be called as the area of refuge, and the people will stay there. Initially, this will be called as the staged evacuation. Only the top floors will start. Only the bottom floors will start evacuating, and the top floors will come to the next refuge area. And again, after this floor is cleared, again this refuge area will be occupied by the floors which are above that. So the initial refuge area will be in the 24th floor. So at least there the high-rise ladders will be able to reach. And moreover to this, if you see the staircases nowadays in new buildings, staircases are comparatively safer. You don't find any kind of a carpet. Like if you see in many of the commercial buildings, inside the floor there is a lot of carpet or false ceilings and POP, but staircase will be made of 2 hours fire rating, and they will have all auto closed doors, so that there's no smoke coming into the staircase. So staircase is comparatively safer. So we say if people come into at least into the staircase, they'll be able to evacuate the building and come down. So we cannot expect a very tall ladders anywhere in the world.
Thank you, Suvarna.
Been inspected by the fire department, the refuge block, what you're saying, in the high-rise building. Have you gone and inspected whether they kept that one floor in case of fire, where the upper floor people can come and take safety there? Have you inspected that?
Not one floor as such. That is in commercial buildings. For apartments, they say at least the people from that above floors, they should be able to come and assemble in one area. Now for apartments, since there are balconies, people from different floors can come to that particular balcony and wait for the fire brigade's help.
Okay, thank you, Uma. I think we'll give others also a chance to ask questions. Yeah, I think Mr. Nagendra.
Yes, I had one question.
Mr. Nagendra? Sorry, Narendra.
We should have your firefighting. Really, I don't have.
If an LPG is put in the balcony utility, is it safe as direct sunlight can heat it up? Sachin, sorry, you'll have to unmute yourself.
Okay. So not exactly, because the cylinders are designed to withstand varying temperature. If you see the way how people carrying it also, it will be generally exposed to sunlight. There is some amount of safety already gone into when the cylinders are designed. So it will not make any big risk as such. But if you're not so comfortable, you can always keep it in a shaded place. It's always good to keep the cylinder in a shaded place, not that it is directly exposed to the sunlight.
Thank you, Sachin. Another query by Mr. Anand. Can you use the duct running gas pipes for kitchen exhaust, that is chimney?
The duct, you meant to say the ones for the LPG? Rectified?
Yeah.
The LPG lines, huh?
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, it is a good idea to avoid it. Running very close to the chimney. The LPG line running close to the chimney should be avoided.
But that's how the constructions are done.
Okay. Because heating generally takes
Unavoidable.
place. Okay. I think initial days when the construction was done, it would have been done like that. But it is better if it is avoided, because chimneys, in case if it will not go to very high temperature as such, but in case, why do we take a chance?
If we cannot avoid it, what is the best option then? Is there any way to safeguard it?
Maybe we can put coatings, where you can have the POPs done over that, completely covering that. I hope it's not very close to that. In case if it is slightly far away, you can the area which is close to that chimney can be covered with the POP.
When you say far away, what is the ideal distance? Is there one?
1 meter. 1 meter.
Okay. Thank you.
Hello.
Yeah. Okay, I think there's a question from Mr. Mukesh. Would you like to ask? Mr. Mukesh, do you want to unmute yourself and ask the question? Okay.
Prasad can also.
I think I've already asked what I wanted to ask.
Sure. Okay. Thank you. Okay.
Sandhya.
Yeah.
Sandhya, Vidya here.
Yeah, Vidya.
Can I just share something? Yeah.
Sure.
Okay. So my name is Vidya, and I stay in an apartment called White House Apartments in RT Nagar. And I would like to share here that in October 2019, November 2019, we also did one mock fire drill and evacuation drill, and that was in partnership with When It Strikes. And I just wanted to share this as a practice so that many members could look forward to really engaging and doing this program. Many a times we find that there are not too many residents who are involved or who are trained in firefighting. They do not know certain basic things, as even the extinguisher and all. Every floor has one. You can use it whenever it is required. But many people don't know how to use it, and knowing about these things is not just the prerogative of just the security staff or the housekeeping or a few handful of people. I think these are some basic, like your first aid, which you should know, the basic first aid things you should know about fighting fire. So I am happy to share that we did this exercise with When It Strikes, and we had in the evacuation drill, I would say almost 700 plus people, residents participated. We have a It's a 570 unit apartment, and that was a very good response. And prior to conducting this drill by November, the previous 3-4 months, we had worked to have some captains, kind of, each tower had their own captains, and sort of it was a build up, so that there was also train the trainer session, and a lot of awareness in between, exchanging of fire safety messages and prevention messages in our internal WhatsApp groups. And all that build up led to finally conducting this exercise with so many people, right from 80-year-olds, senior citizens who participated, to young kids. So I would like to thank your, When It Strikes and team. Mr. Kumar had led that exercise, and it's something which I would recommend we all also ensure we do it once a year. That will keep us refreshed also. And through the year, intermittently, do plan to send out messages to our own residents on these fire safety issues. I have no other question as such, but I just wanted to share this experience for benefit of all apartment members and residents. Thanks, Sandhya.
Thank you, Vidya.
Thank you.
I think that's a very critical thing which we seem to be missing out. Yes, we were.
Can I come in here? Come in here.
Yeah. Who's this? Sorry.
Can I come in here?
Who is this?
Yeah,
Can you
please.
identify yourself? Thank you.
Yeah, this is concerning reticulated gas pipe. Hello?
Please go ahead.
Yeah. Good.
Reticulated gas pipes in Century Cellars. Hello?
Yeah.
They run through duct, you know that. The gas pipes.
Yeah.
Can I use my kitchen chimney to the duct where the gas pipes run, Can the kitchen chimney be used? Can be attached to the duct?
That's what we discussed earlier. It is safer not to use the kitchen chimney. In case if it's already there, generally the reticulated pipes what we have will be able to withstand the temperature. Those temperatures.
It will withstand the temperature.
For example, if you see the piping and the burner knob where actually the gas is burning, it's closer actually, but still it will be able to withstand that temperature. So it will not create any big hazard as such, but in future it is better to avoid running it through that duct.
Yeah, but the pipes already run through the duct.
Yes.
So the chimney can be attached, so the exhaust from the kitchen can go through the duct.
So that's what I was mentioning. It is better to avoid
it.
If it is already there, you can have a coating of POP as a extra.
Coating of what?
POP, plaster of Paris.
Oh, plaster of Paris. Yeah.
So additional protection, but I don't think it will be even without that. It will have that these pipings, the reticulated pipings are tested for temperatures also, and moreover, the fire catches only when the gas is exposed.
Yes. So on the bottom line is it's not safe to use that duct at all.
If it is already done, you can have a coating of POP, but in future, for example, any other buildings, whenever someone's planning to occupy, it should be outside that, preferably.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. Next query is from Mr. Vinod Kumar, who was asking about basic life support. Mr. Kumar, we are planning another session by Mr. Sachin Suvarna, who happens to be an expert on life support and life safety aspects. Probably next month or so, we'll keep you posted on it. Yeah, thank you. Okay, there's a query by Mr. Anand SK. Anand, would you like to ask?
Ramesh here. If
One
Anand is
second,
not there,
Ramesh.
can I ask?
Anand,
Yeah.
yeah.
Can I ask a question? Yeah.
Yes, sir.
My question, yeah, the earlier question was what should be the material used for the blanket? I think that has been already answered in the chat box. Okay. The other question I have is, we have instances of a lot of people putting potted plants in the corridor, which may obstruct, movement during the fire evacuation. Is there any specific law or rule which prevents this, which we can quote in our RW association so that this practice can be stopped?
Definitely. NBC guidelines says that you should not have any obstructions in the staircases. And you need to have, for apartments, you need to have a clear width of 1.5 meters. So it is required. You can always quote that. We can share that clause so that you can take it forward.
Yeah, please do. Actually, I'm not talking so much about staircases, about the corridors.
On the corridors, see, as long as the sufficient space is provided for the exit, you can have that potting there, but it should not hinder the movement of the people during emergency.
See, what happens is when you say sufficient, that's a very subjective matter. Okay. So is there any specific rule which says that no potted plants are allowed in corridors, or so much space should be left?
Yes, there's a ruling which says that you should have so much of space. It's around 2 meters or so, which I'll let you know. After that, if you have, there's no mention saying that you should not have a potting as such, but they say you need to have a clear space of so and so meters.
Yeah, can you please share that? Exactly.
Yeah, sure, we can share that.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Sachin. I think on Anand's question on that preferred material for fire extinguishing blanket at home, are there any specific blankets which are sold in the market? Is that the one we need to buy?
Yes, there are fire blankets available, which can be just pulled in, and you can put it over to the burning pan. You can keep it wall mounted there. You can just hold it and pull it and put it over to the fire. These are called fire blankets. If you are very much interested, I'll forward it to the team. They can get in touch with you.
Sure. Thank you.
Yeah. And one more thing, someone asked about how to operate the smaller extinguisher. So it's similar to that. We could see here it has a squeeze lever, but other extinguisher will be having a small clip kind of a thing. You have to just pull that yellow clip. You just pull that clip, and then a small nozzle. You might not find a hose there. Just that small nozzle will be there in that extinguisher. Just support the false bottom and squeeze that top lever. On top, you'll find to squeeze like you top like a perfume, like your deodorant. You just squeeze that from a thumb. Like this, you just thumb, you have to squeeze and attack. That's it. If it's a smaller capacity like this.
Thank you, Prasad.
I hope it is clear.
Yeah, I think Rohit Lotlikar had a query. Rohit? Okay. When you say refill, does it mean change the powder or just the gas which is used to pressurize?
Come again, you are not audible.
Okay, I think this was on the refilling part of the this one. What are the tips for refilling? What do we need to bear in mind when if the fire extinguisher expires or something?
Yeah, so refilling, if it is, as I told you, once in 3 years we should refill that extinguisher. Right. If it is CO extinguisher, that has to be refilled for once in 5 years, and all the extinguisher has to go for a HPT, hydraulic pressure test. That is for once in 5 years. Then they check the conditions of the extinguisher, whether it whether it will work or not. So after the HPT, if it's working, if it is good in a condition, then but the refilling. But when it comes to refilling matter, irrespective of usage, whether you use or not, if it is powdered once in 3 years, please remember this. Something called IS 2190, in Indian standard 2190. As per that, this is the way it should be. Some places go for once in a year, once in a 2 year, but guideline says powder once in 3 years, CO2 once in 5 years.
Thank you,
Yeah,
Prasad.
adding to what Prasad has mentioned, powder has to be refilled once in 3 years, and CO2 extinguisher is once in 5 years. But once in 3 months, you need to keep maintaining the extinguisher, see that there's no dust over that. The powder extinguisher, generally you need to shake a bit, make it slightly upside down and keep it down, because powder generally settles down because of the gravity. It makes a clump formation. So it may not come out through the pipe. So at least once in 3 months, see that it is maintained properly. And the life of the extinguisher, entire extinguisher for powder is 10 years, and CO2 is 15 years. That is, after 10 years, you are supposed to totally discard the extinguisher. Now, what is important is many of the extinguishers, we say they generally, when you send it for refilling, they may not put the actual MAP. MAP is monoammonium phosphate. We have seen some cases where they refill with chalk powder, dust powder, and even for a small fire, it takes around 2-3 extinguishers to extinguish. You need to have a 50% grade of monoammonium phosphate in that. So there are various ways of testing it. You can test the powder also. A small quantity of powder should be taken, and it can be titrated against sodium hydroxide solution. So there's a test called MAP testing. So this can also be done. But what I suggest is, once you get a lot of extinguishers, for example, if you have sent a batch of 15 to 20 extinguishers for refilling, do a test of the MAP. Take one small quantity, 0.5 milligrams, 500 milligrams of powder is required to know the quantity of MAP, actual quantity of MAP. Many places we see that the MAP will be 0%, 1%. You need to have at least 50% in that. So just see that.
Thank you, Sachin. I think those are very critical nuances which we were unaware of. Actually, at least me, I was completely unaware of. Thanks for the tips. Now, does anybody else have any queries? How to discard extinguisher after its life?
You can give it back to the service provider. They are supposed to cut that into 2 pieces, and they have to discard that.
Is there any this one thing we have to bear in mind when we are keeping our these fire safety equipments, especially at home? The proximity to the fireplace, or in what conditions we need to store it? Are there any tips?
Yes. There is a total guidelines. There is a standard called IS 2190, which talks only about the maintenance of the extinguisher. So when it comes to apartments, if you are keeping an extinguisher in the kitchen, preferably keep it near the door, that is the kitchen door, on the wall where you are exiting, because the moment any incident takes place, many people, the general tendency is to come out of that place. So when they come outside, if they are able to find an extinguisher, they'll be able to use it at least. And in the corridors also, there's a requirement. You need to have at least 2 extinguishers every floor, minimum of 2 extinguishers. And if the length of the apartment is huge, for they say you need to have at least 1 extinguisher for every 15 meters. So that is given in the Indian standards. It's a very big text. So that itself will take 1 hour of a class on that.
Oh, wow.
Can I ask you one question? This is Jambunathan.
Yeah, please.
This is Jambunathan. Can I ask you one question?
Sure, sir.
See, I saw in Amazon some ball type of things which they call the fire extinguisher, and they say that this fire extinguisher can be used in any situation, irrespective of the type of fire, A, B, C, or D, or E. How you, can you think of, can you say something about that? How reliable they are?
This ball, this is not a new concept. This is there for quite a long time. 1940.
Okay, no, I don't know. I have seen it now. That's all. Okay.
Yeah, but now it comes to the fiber. It is nothing but the same powder is filled inside that ball, and there will be, you might have seen it in the way how the firecracker, the wick, what comes in. So it is covered with that on the four sides. The moment it is exposed to the fire, the wick starts burning and the ball bursts, and it sprays the powder. That's the way it is, and I think many of you might have seen these videos also. But we done this also. We just put it onto the fire and the ball explodes. And many times, I don't know how they show it in the video, it extinguishes the fire. But in the live demonstration, many times we see that it fails. Okay, and this may also suitable on fires that are on the wall. For example, there's an electrical panel board which has caught fire. Now, if I throw the ball rebounds back and comes back. So it may not be so effective. So what we say is, if you can have this ball fire extinguisher as an additional to the fire extinguisher what you have. But having fire extinguisher should be mandatory. Fire extinguishers are more effective than that. Those balls.
Okay. So this is not a fire extinguisher as such. This ball is not a fire
extinguisher itself. But the effectiveness, as far as we have seen from our team, it was not so as effective as the regular fire extinguishers.
No, the advantage they say here is that there is no need for any renewal or anything like that. Once in 2 years, 3 years, like that. I think this ball need not be renewed or something like that. That's what they say. I do not know because I have not, as you have said, I have not also used it anywhere.
Okay.
But I have not come across that. That is why I'm asking you, because I'm seeing it in Amazon, and many of the people are buying that. And second, my question is that, is there any regulation that there should be a fire extinguisher in every car, four-wheeler?
In the vehicles, as of now, there is no regulations. But for bigger vehicles like the bus or the trucks, there are regulations, especially hazardous carrying vehicles. There is a regulation, but as of now for the cars, it is not as given in the regulation, but it is ideal practice, a good practice to have a smaller 2 kg fire extinguisher, not the ball type. At least that Prasad is carrying there, the 2 kg type. That is also enough.
That is 2 kg, small one. How much will it cost?
Pricing part, I'm not so sure with that. I'll let you know.
No problem. No problem. Once you give your phone number or some contact detail, probably we can reach you.
Right.
That will be fine.
Right.
That will be. Thank you.
Yeah, you finish off, Jambunathan.
I have finished, sir. You can go ahead, sir, please.
Yes. Now adding to that the ball, that ball extinguisher. So we had tried, but what is that one thing happens? It spills out, and it can lead to some other hazard, because when you throw to the fire or the fire is at place, it spills, and that powder spills. Even that can sometimes that flame can spill, which I had the experience. I had done that literally. I had done practically done the experience that practice once where in a small industry, where small factory I just threw to the fire source. It extinguished fire and it reignited, and also it spilled all the places, which can lead to some other complications, which we do not recommend in open spaces and all. That is also the things.
Okay, sir. Thanks for the additional clarification. Now I understand. Thank you.
Thank you. If there are no more queries, can we end the session?
Yes.
Yeah, sure, Sandhya. Thank you.
Okay.
Then thank you so much for participating. So, over to Sandhya. Want to close?
Yeah, thank you so much, both Prasad and Sachin, for taking so much time and patience to respond to all our queries. And we have learned a lot in this session. At least I have. I hope others too feel the same. If there are any more queries, first of all, the session will be uploaded on our website. The link will be shared with all the clusters. Please do go through it. This session is being recorded. This also will be uploaded by tomorrow morning. Yeah, and we look forward to another session on life safety by Sachin, hopefully next month. Yeah. Thank you everyone for joining. Thank you, Prasad. Thank you, Sachin. And
You
thank
can
you.
provide the telephone numbers, contact numbers, it will be very helpful. And the contact numbers, someone
shared here.
We just drop to a chat window the contact details.
Yeah, I think it's been shared. Okay.
Thank you.
The organization is called Venice.
Yeah, thanks everyone.
Yeah.
Very informative.
Thank you.
Thank you for an excellent session. May God bless all of you. Bye.
Thank you, everyone. Okay. See you.
Thank you,
next
thank you
week.
everyone. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.